Welcome to a place where private business profit from a captive labour force, yet pennies are spent on medical services to a population in which the Indigenous, the poor and the mentally ill are overrepresented. Where isolation, humiliation and degradation are facts of life. Welcome to prison.
It depends who's telling the story, I suppose. The prisoners would have one view, the people who work in the prison system would have another, and I think it's up to people to decide where the truth is.
Give government propaganda and the media spin doctors the flick. And check out Doing Time for news, views and tunes on prison issues from Guantanamo Bay to Christmas Island to prisons and detention centres everywhere. Every Monday at 4 p.m. on your community radio 3CR.
We are still fired up and we're still talking about revolution.
Hello and welcome to the Doing Time show. This is 3CR Community Radio, 855 AM on the dial, streaming live on www.3cr.org.au. It's approximately 4:01 and we've got quite a low-key show today, specifically and particularly focusing on Radiothon as well. And I've got a few things I'm going to read out in a sec. I'm hoping that, because first up on the show, we were hoping to have DT on, who is actually a campaign organiser and Aboriginal activist and looking at the sacred trees. And listeners may recall that the Doing Time show has done extensive coverage on this topic. And we were going to have DT in to speak about that and to also speak about how the police have been demonising him. He's spent some time in remand for very trivial offences, and he was going to be talking about the sacred trees and how the government is wanting to get rid of the Aboriginal birthing trees up near Ararat. So we were hoping to have him here, but he may be running late. Not sure if he's actually going to be coming. So if he doesn't come, I'll just be reading out some articles. But then at 4:30, we're going to be speaking with Chris Breen from the Refugee Action Collective. And Chris is going to be speaking about asylum seekers and refugees, giving a little bit of an update about what's going on, advertising a couple of events that are coming up. But he'll be speaking also specifically about a detainee who his name is Ali, and Ali has actually spoken with us many times on the Doing Time show, and we've offered him some telephone support as well off air. Ali is actually in Maitar Detention Centre, and there was a court case that Ali attended where he took a Serco guard to court, and it was a court win. And we'll be speaking with Chris about that and probably getting Ali on the show later on. And just to get a little bit of a taste about what that interview is going to be about. So basically, to quote from the media release, 2 Serco employees received interim intervention orders at the Broadmeadows Magistrates Court against Ali Yusuf, an Iraqi refugee detained indefinitely in Maitar Detention Centre. And several months later, one of them, who was part of Serco's emergency response team, strip-searched Ali as he went to celebrate the end of Enid on June 4th. And so we'll be talking about that and also discussing the background to that and also looking at the situation now and how Ali went back to court. But in the meantime, I'm going to be playing a song, and while before I read out the donations as well from last week for the Radiothon. And this song is actually called Decide Today, Free Marius Mason. And it's just in regards to June 11, which is a traditional day that anarchists celebrated for anarchist prisoners. And I believe Peter had an interview with somebody, his name is Robert, I believe, on the show, who actually writes poetry and songs. So while we're waiting, hopefully, for DT to show, I will play this song, and then I'll read out the donations. A very low-key show, but yeah, stay tuned.
Marius Mason, arrested 2008 in Cincinnati for Earth Liberation direct actions of economic sabotage, during which no one was injured. In 2009, sentenced to nearly 22 years prison, a punishment that far exceeds many for overtly violent offenses in America. The year is now 2019, a decade into his time stolen from family and community. To directly combat the state's intention of this long-term sentence fading activist peers from our lives, it is crucial we renew our solidarity with Marius in words and actions. Keeping his name frequent in conversation, keeping his status in our minds as we would any friend, to show him what his courage means to us, and showing the world that this green scare against environmental defense is no victory for the state and its corporate masters. We will write letters of sustained friendship, raise awareness, and provide resources when help is needed. Continue our demand, never wavering, but with heightened enthusiasm and fury, every June 11th, until he is no longer caged. Free Marius Mason.
And you're back with the Doing Time show. And that was an interesting little number that was actually that's created by an activist from overseas that Peter interviewed quite some time ago now in regards to 11th of June. Anyway, it's approximately 9 minutes past 4 and we're going to be hearing from Chris Breen shortly. But unfortunately, DT is unable to attend today, which is pretty disappointing, but I'm sure we can have him on another time. But in the meantime, I just wanted to talk about the follow-up from Radiothon. Last Monday, the Doing Time show did a pre-recorded show for Radiothon and did some listener interviews. We had Ali on. We also had and he's from Mitre Detention Centre. We also had Vicky Roach as well, speaking about her experiences on the Doin' Time show. And I've actually set aside some time today to really thank all the listeners that donated to the show last week and prior to last week and after last week. Basically, Radiothon is over now, but it's not too late to donate. The theme for Radiothon this year was Power Radical Radio, and it's the annual 3CR fundraiser. And it ended yesterday, I believe. So it started on the 3rd of June, and it ended yesterday. And that includes also the community language groups as well, who also have access to the airwaves. So our target for the show is $850, and I'll give you the grand total after I read out the donations. So I'm going to read all the donations now and personally thank everybody on air, because we weren't able to do that last week because of the pre-record. So first one that I'm going to read out is Margaret and Peter Riley, and they donated $25. And thank you so much. And in memory of Mouse, and Mouse is a long time presenter on the Doin' Time show from many years. The show's been going for at least 20 years now. Our next person that donated is Rob, and he donated $100. Thank you very much, Rob. We also have Peter as well, who donated $20. Thank you, Peter. We have ISJA, Indigenous Social Justice Association Melbourne, who donated $25. Thank you, ISJA. And ISJA is a well-known organisation in Melbourne that builds the movement to stop Aboriginal deaths in custody, amongst many other issues of racial profiling. Jackie Brown donated $10. Thank you very much, Jackie. Jess donated $30. Thanks so much. Juliet Fox, thank you, Juliet. She donated $10. Teresa donated $10. Thank you very much. And Tamar Hopkins donated $50, and she donated another $50. So that's $100 from Tamar. Thank you, Tamar. And Tamar also is, as well as being a supporter of 3CR and a listener, is actually the former principal solicitor of Flemington Kensington Community Legal Centre, and Tamar was instrumental in being one of the leaders against racial profiling and holding the police to account. So, but look, all of our donations are important. All of our listeners are important, and big or small, it doesn't matter. Every dollar counts, and in fact, you can get a tax receipt before the 28th of June. If you donate now, and you can claim that on tax if it's $2 or over. Continuing on now with the donations, Cheryl and Claus, $40. Thank you very much, much appreciated. And Chris is $30. Thank you, Chris. Chris has also been around for a long time, as have Margaret and Peter. We all did Sewer Show together. So thank you very much. Claire Seppings, $30. And Claire was actually with us last week, and she helped out with the Radiothon. Thanks a lot, Claire. Heather, who is another very supportive listener, $40. Thank you very much, Heather. Much appreciated. So we have actually so far raised $490. $490. And so our target is $850. So we're not there yet, but we're about 55% into it. So thank you very much for all the people that have donated, and I hope that I haven't left anyone out. And we really appreciate all this support. It's approximately 4:14, and you're listening to the Doin' Time show. And I'm going to be playing a song now by Bob Marley, and it's called Get Up, Stand Up. and that's pretty appropriate given the the political climate at the moment. But before I do that, before I put the song on, if people still haven't paid their donation, their pledges for other shows at 3CR, drop into the station, 21 Smith Street, Collingwood, or call 9419 8377. And it's not too late to donate to the Doing Time show either, because we've still got our target to meet. But thank you once again to all the listeners.
3CR are selling keffiyeh Palestinian scarves in support of the last factory that produces them in Hebron, Palestine. All profits will be donated to the reconstruction efforts in Gaza and support Palestinian industry. These are traditional scarves available in red and black, or you can choose from a modern design. Go to 3cr.org.au/shop to buy online or drop into the station during business hours.
And you're back with the Doing Time show, and this is Marissa. That was a song by Kev Carmody and Paul Kelly and Kev Carmody from Big Things, Little Things Grow. And that was quite a long song, and it almost made up for the fact that DT hasn't been able to come in today, almost. But, that song really makes me want to continue the fight for Aboriginal people, for all peoples that are deprived of a voice. And, yeah, it's pretty crazy, isn't it? It's approximately 4:26, and we've got about 4 minutes until we actually speak with Chris Breen, who is from the Refugee Action Collective. And just wanted to read out a very quick, brief transcript from ABC News in regards to an inquest update. The doctor who conducted an autopsy on an Aboriginal man who died in state care found his injuries were consistent with the application of a mild to moderate degree of false, a coronial inquest has heard. Bradley Carl Colwell, who was diagnosed with schizophrenia, died on September 12, 2011 in Logan Hospital. A coronial inquest is being held in Brisbane to examine the conduct of police who caused Mr. Colwell to be admitted to hospital, the care and security provided at the hospital, and the way in which Mr. Colwell's family were treated by staff. The court heard Mr. Colwell was admitted to Logan Hospital with a chest infection by police. He died the following day after trying to leave several times. The cause of his death remains unclear. Dr. David Story conducted an autopsy and said that there were bruises and abrasions to a number of parts of his body. I felt that those injuries were consistent with the application of a mild to moderate degree of force, he said. A detective told the inquest Mr. Colwell was found naked in the seclusion room of the hospital. Family members wiped away tears as the court was told he was found with bruising to his chest as well as blood on his face. Mr. Colwell's sisters sat in court wearing T-shirts in memory of their other brother, Sean Colwell, who died in police custody after being restrained by officers called to an address in Kingston, south of Brisbane, in October last year. Outside court, Sonia Codgill said it had been a difficult time for the family and sitting through the inquest was worse than the day of her brother's funeral. He was, and everyone who knew him knew his personality, that he was non-violent, she said. He did have episodes, but they weren't extreme. The inquest continues. It's approximately 4:28, and we'll be speaking with Chris Breen shortly from the Refugee Action Collective. We just wanted to give an update on that inquest because part of the role of the Doing Time show is to be a watchdog and to build the movement to stop Aboriginal deaths in custody. And so we'll be speaking with Chris very soon in regards to Ali, who took some guards to court from Serco. And Ali is actually imprisoned in the MITA Detention Centre at the moment. The Refugee Action Collective has written a media release and it's entitled Detainee Turns Tables on Serco, the Court Win. 2 Sedco employees received interim intervention orders at the Broadmeadows Magistrates Court against Ali Yusuf, an Iraqi refugee detained indefinitely in MITA Detention Centre on the 1st of the 1st, 2019. I'll just check that date with Chris later. Several months later, one of them, who was part of Sedco's emergency response team, strip-searched Ali as he went to celebrate the end of Enid on June 14, said Chris Breen of the Refugee Action Collective. Ali complained to the Broadmeadows Magistrates Court, and as a result of a hearing, he now has an interim intervention order against the ERT guard. The order prevents the guard going from within 5 metres of Ali, which rules the guard out from many areas, including control rooms that have cameras that can observe Ali. And so really the role of the interview is to speak to Chris just about the broad implications of what's happened here and to work out, why did that happen, and just to talk a little bit about the court case. And then we may have Ali on the show as well later. But first, we're just going to cross over to a very quick announcement, and hopefully we'll be having Chris on soon.
We know you love our 3CR Radical Radio t-shirts, and so do we.
They're 100% cotton and Australian made, and you can get one for just $30. They come in black, dark grey and a cool light grey.
To nab one of these beauties, drop into the station at 21 Smith Street or order by phoning 9419 8377, or you can visit us online at 3cr.org.au/shop. Come on, you know you want one.
And you're back with the Doing Time show. And we've got Chris Breen on the line from the Refugee Action Collective. Hello, Chris.
Hi, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, welcome to the program. Now, Chris, I just wanted to check a date with you first, though. Could you just tell us a little bit about what's happened with Ali in the, is it MITA Detention Centre in Broadmeadows, and what dates that happened?
Yes.
The court, I think
sorry. The date you're talking about. So there are 2 Serco employees who applied for an intervention order against Ali Yusuf. Ali used to run the page 501 and Serco, ERT. Essentially, would record interactions with the guards, abuse of detainees, and put that up online. And Serco and ABF hate the page. They've, threatened, they've cajoled him to try and take it down. They did manage to get Facebook to take it down, and he's put it back up in another guise. And so I think it was earlier this year. The date would be right in the media release. It was either March or January where they first.
I think it was January, actually. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, January.
Yeah,
that's right. Yep. He wasn't present. No. Usually, what happens is they'll apply for a interim order. The courts usually grant them as a matter of they just do, and then there'll be a hearing at a later date. And so the intervention order states that Ali's not to post anything online about them. He's not supposed to come within 200 metres of them. And I mean, it's a sort of bizarre thing. It's not clear to me whether this was an initiative of the individual employees or of Serco and ABF. But either way, it has gone ahead. And then more recently, on the 4th of June, when Ali was going to celebrate Eid, the end of Eid, he was strip-searched by one of the guards who has the intervention order out against him, who's supposed to, stay 200 metres away from. As a result of that, Ali rang the magistrates' court and complained. They had a hearing on Friday just gone, and as a result of that, Ali now has an intervention order against one of the people who applied for an intervention order against him. And the irony of that is the guard is not supposed to come within 5 metres. It's not allowed into control rooms where they're able to view or observe Ali. And that places severe limitations because the Guard is part of the emergency response team on their role responding. And immediately after that hearing, and it may be in response, Australian Border Force contacted Ali and told him they would move him to another detention centre, which he's been requesting for some time because his mother is sick with cancer in Perth. They moved him arbitrarily last year. And I should add that Ali is he's an Iraqi refugee. His visa was cancelled on character grounds, and he's currently detained indefinitely.
So I wanted to invite you onto the show, Chris, just to let listeners know what are the implications for that. I mean, it all sounds like very childish of these Serco guards. What's going on here?
It is.
Because he's not a criminal.
They hate having a light shone onto what's happening in detention. It's for the same reason that we get offshore processing far-flung detention centres away from any prying eyes. It's why Dutton tried to ban phones in detention. Having not done that, what they've tried to do is a crackdown on anybody who, leaks information out of the detention centre. I mean, the judge, according to Ali, I wasn't at the hearing, was scathing about the use of intervention orders, in these circumstances where the people applying for the orders have power over the detainees. Intervention orders were originally designed for domestic violence cases. So it would be a new area of law, as far as I'm concerned, if they started being used in this way. There is a full hearing on the 26th of September, and the judge has ordered both of the Serco employees to appear in person at that. So it's a mediation.
At Broadmeadows?
Although I suspect what will happen by then is they will have moved Ali. But he's sceptical about where he will be moved. Like he says, detainees get stuffed around all the time. They get moved around arbitrarily. He's requested to go to Perth, but he thinks to punish him they won't do that. But again and again, there's people in MITA who have been there for years, up to 10 years in some cases. And there is abuse of detainees in different ways on a daily basis. They have, very little power, if none, in detention. For instance, Ali's hand was broken in an alleged assault by up to 13 ERT guards. The police have refused to investigate. The Australian Federal Police said there's no evidence his hand was broken, despite the fact that there's medical reports that Serco says in a letter it was. And actually 2 weeks ago, Victoria Police came to interview Ali about an entirely separate thing, about an old Facebook post, which, apparently he didn't put up anyway. And while there, they wouldn't deal with the issue of his assault, or the alleged assault. So there, it's a horrific situation for for many detainees. Ali was also ordered there was a federal court in December 2017 that said he should be released, but the courts don't have the power to grant visas, and so Dutton is still denying a whole range of people that the courts have ordered to be free visas on character grounds.
This is really fantastic that you've been able to clear up some of this stuff, because Ali is worried about talking on air about this stuff because of contempt of court. But other people can speak for him. There's nothing to stop that.
Yes. I mean, certainly there's, so long as, nobody's identified,
that's right.
Any issue talking about the general.
No, it's not illegal.
No.
But I think it was better to protect his interests, not to have him speak in too much detail. Although it doesn't matter now because there's been a court win anyway. But
there's been a court win, but it is still before the courts, so you might want to be a little careful with Ali.
Yeah. That's why, and that's why I invited you, because, you know, Ali has been on such a lovely man, really, and so much has happened to him, and he's done so much to help other detainees, and he's been on our show as a regular guest, and in fact joined our show last week to promote Radiothon for the Doing Time show, and it was just great. And so I wanted listeners to know a little bit more about him, but also to note the broader implications of what Serco is capable of and what these guards are capable of doing.
Yeah, I mean, there's all sorts of cruelties. I mean, I rang and spoke to Ali yesterday, and he put me in touch with another detainee who is inside with his 17-year-old son. And I don't know all the details of the case. I'm going to go and visit and find out.
Sure.
But the father and son have been separated for 4 months since they've been there in different compounds. And so, you know, the 17-year-old is unaccompanied in the detention centre, which, you know, strikes me as incredibly cruel. But, yeah, when I have more information, I'll come back with that.
And actually, Chris, I mean, I won't talk about the details on air, but I do want to speak to you tomorrow off air, because I'm actually in touch with someone from MITA as well who may need the Refugee Action Collective. So can I ring you tomorrow about that?
Certainly.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, certainly. I mean, there are other children there as well. There's still the Kopika and Veronica of the Billawheeler family.
Oh.
And Hawin and her baby Isabella. And both of those families are facing deportation. I mean, Hawin faces indefinite separation from her daughter. Yeah, if she's deported. So, yeah, they're important cases.
Well, yeah, that's the Vietnamese family. I think that the show, we interviewed Lucy Honan about that last year, I believe. Oh, no, sorry, it was this year. This year.
Yes.
Yes, yeah.
She's still in detention with her baby, still breastfeeding, but is, terrified that when she stops breastfeeding, she will be deported to Vietnam and her baby will be left here.
Left here?
Well, she's married a man who was here on a 457 visa, and so the baby has the right to stay here under his visa. So they would face an awful choice if she was deported. You know, does the baby stay with the father, or does the baby go with her? Either way, the family is just torn apart.
Absolutely. That's just disgusting. It's disgusting, Chris. Yeah. So, Chris, getting back to Ali, trying to get a little bit more information as to what visa was he on before he was put into MITA, and why won't they set him free?
He was on he was granted permanent protection. He was on a refugee visa. He's currently in MITA under 501 section. So he spent 18 months in jail, as I understand it, for road offences. I don't know all the details. But that means because of that, his visa was cancelled on character grounds. He's not the only one in that situation. There are lots and lots of people. Probably the biggest group is New Zealanders who've had their visas cancelled and face deportation. But what we say in RAC is that regardless of what these people have done, once people have served their sentences, that should be the end of it, rather than being punished. So Ali's now facing the rest of his life in jail. Not in detention with no way out.
I mean, if there's a traffic violation, let them serve their sentence, okay, and then let them out into the community. It's not as if he killed or raped anybody, for goodness sake. No. Even in the worst cases, we have a court system to punish people, to deal with people. Well, not to punish, to hopefully rehabilitate people. Sure.
And once people have served their sentences, the for anybody else who was, born here and is a citizen. That's the end of it.
That's right. I mean, how does one constitute a character test anyway? And this is what really angers me about this government, in particular the coalition government, that, that the character test, they're using so many, like it's too broad. It's too punishing.
They can use it it's intended to be broad. So the minister has basically arbitrary powers to keep people in detention. That's the point of the character test. It's also, I think, to smear migrants and refugees as criminals because they get kept inside, the cases come up into the media, and I think that is also part of the purpose of the legislation.
Anyway, Ali is very much demonised because he's spreading the green light on what the guards are doing, and that's why he's being penalised and demonised like this.
That is absolutely why he is facing the treatment he's faced.
Now, just one last question, Chris, just in regards to Manus Island, and let me know if you can't answer this, but what's happening with her?
Manus Island is more of a hellhole than Mitre, if that's possible. You've had, since the election, over 50, serious self-harm and suicide attempts. There was one man who set himself on fire. No serious burns, thankfully, because it was put out quickly. But there is despair. So there were many offshore who thought that a Labor government might open up the possibility for some of them to go to New Zealand under the New Zealand deal. That has closed down. The Medivac legislation to transfer people here has been working slower than we would like. Because really, I think that everybody on Manus Island is sick, has been made ill by 6 years of indefinite detention. And so, we're saying they should all be brought here, that there is a humanitarian crisis offshore, and the only way to end it, now that the US deal is essentially over, Peter Dutton said that on the news last night, they only took 3, not the 1,250 that they said they were going to take. That was a lie. So we've got a rally coming up on July the 20th on the 6th anniversary. We want that to be as big as possible to put pressure on the government. There's currently about 900 people in Australia. They're in limbo too, from Manus and Nauru, who've come here for medical treatment, who aren't being sent back. The other 900 who are still there, they could be brought here. It's not a lot of people. It would end the cruelty.
Indeed. And are they planning to close one of the detention centres, Chris? Didn't someone?
Is who?
There seems to be that one of the detention centres is going to close. Apparently, they can't manage the asylum seekers there, or is that not true?
Offshore?
Yeah, offshore.
No, I haven't seen that. It may be transferring some from a particular place to another place, but I'm not.
Okay, not PNG. PNG aren't upset.
There've been various things I've seen in the news recently about cancelling a contract with Paladin.
That's
which was a $400 million contract, which was awarded without tender to a 2-bit company, leased out of a shed. And Peter Dutton said that was going to continue as a matter of course. PNG has now called for it to be cancelled. Exactly what is happening is still a bit unclear, but there needs to be a full, open, impartial investigation into that contract and the entirety of the horror of offshore detention.
Indeed, there is a horror, and not only is it horrible, but we need to bring them here. We need to bring all the refugees and asylum seekers here to give them the care that they deserve, not just the ones that are sick, everybody. But also, do you know how much money Australia would save? If we didn't do offshore processing?
Yes, it costs roughly about $4 billion a year it's an insane amount of money. I mean, that's what the politics of it is worth to the government, and that probably doesn't include all the costs of Navy turnbacks and everything else as part of the, it's about $4 billion. It would save an awful lot of money that could be spent on, education and healthcare and other things here, and providing refugees with, settlement and language services and so forth.
Instead of taking away money from essential services like hospitals.
Yeah.
Chris, thank you so much for coming onto the program, and we will be having Ali back on the show, not now, but, as a follow-up. But it's really great that you were able to come and talk about that, and that's great. Thank you so much.
Thanks once again for having me on.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
And that was Chris Breen from the Refugee Action Collective speaking about Ali, who is being imprisoned in Maita Detention Centre, and having a look at some horrific things that the guards have done, and looking at a court win, although he is still before the court at the moment. So we do have to be extremely careful being in conversation with Ali at the moment, because we don't want to have contempt of court. But there's nothing wrong with the Refugee Action Collective coming on board to discuss his plight. And as well as that, we spoke about, we had an update about Manus and some of the horrific things that were happening. Let's get Peter Dutton out of office. It's approximately 4:50, and I'm going to be playing you a song now by Monica Waitman, and this is called Rain. And you're back with the Doing Time show, and it's approximately 3:54. We've got about 3 minutes before we're out of here. So thank you so much to Chris Breen from the Refugee Action Collective for coming onto the show and giving us a very concise update on refugees and asylum seekers. The Refugee Action Collective do very hard work and have done many, many snap actions, protests and forums, and actually provide hands-on support to refugees and asylum seekers. It's really important to keep this issue alive. Now, also, I'm hoping that we can have DT back on as a follow-up to talking about Reconciliation Week and the sacred trees. And we can talk about that. I'm hoping he can come back next week. Thank you once again to all our listeners and supporters who donated for the Doing Time show. Donate to all shows at 3CR. As I said, our target is $850, and we still haven't reached our target. As you know, prisoners do not have bank accounts, and it's not a very trendy topic these days, is it? Prisons and prisons are very much hidden away, and it's not a topic that's talked about that much. And so I'm wondering if people can still donate. It's not too late, even after the show, during the show, next week, whenever, 94198377. And see if you can, we can reach our target of $850. And once again, I'm going to send out a special cheerio and thank you, deep felt thank you from the Doing Time show to all our people who donated. And we've got Beyond Zero coming up next. We've got about 1 minute left before we're out of here. And we're going to be going out pretty soon with our theme song, Black Fella, White Fella by the Rumpy Band. And we'll see you back next week, every Monday, in fact, from 4 till 5 for the Doing Time show. So it's goodbye from Marissa, and thanks to Rob out there who helped produce the show and helped make it run smoothly. Thanks so much, and stay strong, and all of you take care of each other in this climate of instability and economic crap. Oh, excuse the French. Anyway, thank you very much and see you next week. Take care.